Have you ever wondered why did Sleeping Beauty sleep for over 100 years? Have you? Well, today you're gonna be you're gonna learn why it is uber important for you to have a good night's sleep. You know, today in today's world, we are living in an anxious times, and many people have not been sleeping well. So, you might be asking yourself, how can I sleep well during a pandemic? Well, in just a minute, I'm going to be sharing with you a lovely guest that I have with me who is going to tell us key steps that we need to be taking to help us sleep well in these difficult times. So keep watching. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Gospel Edward Filia, and I help you find clarity in your goals and dreams, helping you to achieve far much more than you could ever thought achieving if you had done it all by yourself. So you can see me kind of like your own transformational coach, helping you to grow your finances and have a positive mental health. So thank you so much for joining me today. And if it's your first time, hey, thank you. You typing hashtag new. If you are watching on the replay, thank you so much for watching on the replay. Type in hashtag replay. Welcome to the show. Today, we have a lovely guest. Everybody, say hello to Christina. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Gospel. It's such a beautiful, wonderful moment to be joining you. Wonderful. I know we're across the pond, as they say, here in Orlando, Florida, in the United States, but it's lovely to join you
Uh,
over in the UK. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you. So, oopsie, gospel, she's done it again, hasn't she? Did rehearse. I did rehearse the whole thing, but oh well. So, thank you so much, Christina, for joining us today. Please
You're
tell us a bit more about yourself.
I started as a nurse practitioner. I worked at the University of Central Florida, which is the second largest university in the United States. And I used to have patients come to me and ask for sleeping pills. So I thought to myself, this isn't really well.
Mm,
We're not going to have this dilemma, which will continue being with addictions and things like that, and where we can actually think about what you're doing in your lifestyle to tweak it. Just a few simple tips that could give you the best sleep of your life.
yeah.
So I started a workshop for the freshmen undergraduates, and it was a big hit. They loved it. And we would go and promote these tips, and they would learn. Their parents were involved. We had the roommates were involved. And then it eventually got involved in the whole university. Every month we would present. And then I also started doing this at the medical school because medical students don't sleep.
Mm,
So we actually started a program that every year I present to the second year medical students, and it works out really well. I co present with a psychologist, and we talk about how important sleep is and the brain and why you need it. There's so much to sleep, there's so many
yeah.
different avenues and content you can go.
Yeah.
So I started dwelling involved research and things, and it's just been a really great journey for me. I loved it.
That is awesome. So, before we get to the meat of today's show. I thought we'd do a little bit of a trivia type of thing, and I'll ask, well, I'll ask the question and then tell me if you knew about it. So if you knew about it, type in yes, I knew that. If you didn't, type in wow. You can use the wow emoji if you want. So here we go. So number one trivia for you all, if you're watching, let's do this together. So sleep deprivation will kill you more quickly than food deprivation. Did you know that? Did you know that? I didn't know that. I thought, and actually, come to think about it, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because I know that when I haven't slept for a few days, I haven't had my full hours of sleep, I am not feeling my best at all. So let me know in the comment section if you knew about this trivia or not. Isn't it shocking, Christina, about this that sleep can actually kill you more than food? People would think food would be the one doing the killing, isn't it?
You know, there are studies done that actually have looked at people that have gone food deprived and sleep deprived. And when you're deprived a certain amount of time, it actually, they logically looked at it as if you had an alcohol content
Mm,
of high level because your memory, your reactions are slower. You can't retain things. You
mm.
slur your words. You start craving carbs. There's a lot of link now, research to the gut microbes to sleep deprivation.
Wow.
So, food and sleep deprivation is a whole different topic, and we can do that another time.
Yeah.
But without sleep, your heart, your lungs, everything, your blood vessels will shut down. So, it's super, super important.
It is. It is so important. That now the next one is higher income earners, they get the best sleep. Well, of course they do. Of course they do get the best sleep. I
They
mean,
have better pillows.
exactly right. They have pillows. They have super nice mattresses,
Yeah,
nice bed. And again, I'm sure their bedroom is like heaven. So,
right.
of course, they'll have the best sleep. Did you know that? People,
But I tell you, I can teach you ways that you don't need to have money to get as good a sleep as they do.
yeah,
So we can talk about that because there's simple things that you can do.
yeah,
Of course, a good mattress and good pillows are important, but they don't have to be thousands of dollars. And a lot of these folks that earn a lot of money stay up late and are workaholics. So they work through the night. So this tends to be more of a problem with sleep deprivation. Even though you're making lots of money, your quality of life is bad.
mm,
So what's your choice?
yeah,
Living, and a lot of people, we talked about this before, that sleep is looked at as a luxury. It's not a luxury, it's a
mm,
necessity. And my goal and my mission is to make sure people know that you have to put sleep as a priority in your life, just like diet and exercise, but it's easier.
yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. So the next one, this one is regarding fear. Fear is said not to be the main emotion in nightmares. And when I read this, I was like, so what is it then? And I thought, when I read it and I saw what is likely to be the main emotion. I say, oh yeah, I suppose that makes sense, because when I find myself sad or feeling confused or guilty, is I've noticed this when I have nightmares, and I don't have a lot of nightmares, but when I have strange dreams, it tends to correlate with when I am feeling sad or going through a lot of bad feelings, shall I say.
Yeah.
Let me know. If you're watching me live, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for watching. What we're talking about sleep, how to sleep well during a pandemic, and we're doing a trivia. So this is one that said fear is not the main emotion that we go through when we have nightmares. It tends to be more sadness or guilt or confusion. Did you know that? Let me know in the comment section. Type in, yes, I knew that, gospel. Or if you're like surprised or mind blown as I was, then put the wow emoji on there. Okay. So thank you so much for joining. Type in hashtag live as well if you're watching live. Okay. So Christina, let's get into this. Let's get into this. So, how does sleep affect us?
Sleep is the role that sleep has. It has so much to do with your physical and your mental health. It actually has shown that it repairs your heart and your blood vessels. And it's very important for memory consolidation. Your memory, if you noticed you're not sleeping well, your memory starts to lapse and you forget where you put your keys, or you forget that you had left that door open, or you can't recall certain memories and things. So, memory consolidation is important in REM sleep, and that's when we dream. So, that's important. Sleep deprivation also with this pandemic, it helps when we don't have sleep, the immunity function goes down. So your immunity is affected. Premature aging. We talked about sleeping beauty, sleeping for 100 years, looking beautiful. That's why she looked so beautiful. But all jokes aside, they have done studies that you will live longer and have better quality, longevity, and your skin will be much more adapt and pliable, and your bones and joints, everything is affected. So what else is affected by sleep deprivation? Mood changes. A lot of us will get angry, we snap, we have anxiety right away when we haven't slept well, and that can affect your relationships at home, at school, your work colleagues, yourself. If you're angry, it's not healthy. So they've also done studies now that hormonal linked cancers are linked to sleep deprivation. That's scary.
Mm.
And diabetes and stroke and hypertension and kidney disease. Those are all things that if we get a better night's sleep, chances are you won't go down that road. Obviously, genetics have a lot to do with it, but this will help you also feel like you're getting a better quality life.
Yeah, that is actually true. The link with sleep and mental health, that one is like golden, because I know I've noticed that even with in my case, if the times that I don't sleep well, I make more mistakes. A lot of things that I've done before, I still find myself making mistakes, and maybe instead of it taking me 5 minutes, it's taking me longer than 5 minutes, and I'm thinking, oh gospel, you need to go to bed. And we tend to think that Oh, if I walk through all through the night, I'll get to finish all these things. I know for me, I have found that it's a waste of my time. I might as well have been in bed sleeping to get my energy and get my brain functioning,
Refreshed. Yeah.
refreshed. That's it. Refreshed. All my cells rejuvenated in my brain cells. So thank you for sharing that. In the season that we're in, pandemic season, how should we how should we deal with our sleep patterns now that we are
So there's 3 steps I can give you that are very good tips that we can take away.
okay?
Obviously, we can talk for hours, but that's not interesting and it's not the point. But I want you to take away 3 steps. The first step to remember is timing. Circadian rhythm is a 24-hour clock in your brain. And if you disrupt that rhythm, then you will not get that good quality sleep. So timing is important. Also, going to bed at the same time and getting up at this and getting up at the same time every day is super important. That sets your circadian rhythm clock,
Yeah,
and that's super important. Another very super important in timing is melatonin, and you do need sunlight, at least 30 minutes in the morning. If you can go outside and walk, which would benefit you a double whammy, you're getting your exercise and you're getting your circadian rhythm, if you will, that reclocking, resetting.
yeah,
30 minutes also brings you vitamin D, and that's very helpful for fatigue and people that are feeling very sluggish in this pandemic, getting outside, fresh air. So it keeps that brain body clock running smoothly, and that's important. The second tip is aim to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's been documented as the most beneficial.
yeah. I think before we
If
go,
you're
before Christina, before we go to the second step, I have a question. In your opinion, when is the best time to go to bed?
So you want to go to bed before midnight, anytime before midnight. Studies have shown that after midnight, you're losing double the amount of time sleep deprivation of hours. So instead of like unwind, we'll talk about this at the sleep hygiene moment, but you unwind an hour before you go to bed, which would mean shutting everything off, and we'll go through those steps later.
Yeah,
So at least try to be in bed before midnight. That's the key. But the most important thing, gospel, is timing. Going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time, if you can, even on the weekends. If you do that for 2 weeks, you will set your circadian rhythm.
yeah,
You won't even need an alarm clock. How about that?
yeah.
That's amazing.
I know for me, I have had the same routine for years, and people are quite surprised about. They say I'm too strict with my routine, and I have to be strict with my routine.
You have to be.
I have to be strict with my routine because it's what is helping me out in this world that I live in. So, and many are quite perplexed as to the time I go to bed and wake up. I've always, in the winter or in the summer, I wake up always at the same time. Even in the during the weekends, we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about that later
I
on.
do too. That's fabulous. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that.
So you mentioned the second step, which was for us to aim to get this amount of sleep.
Right. So we're staying at home more in this pandemic, and you don't have to drive to work. Maybe your children aren't being dropped off at the daycare.
Yeah,
They're home. You have homeschooling. You are actually having your bedroom slash office in the bedroom. So there's so many different changes. But if you can grab that amount of time that you have extra and do like sleeping in a little bit longer, that would help a lot. I think that changes like this can make it more positive in your sleep routine because as you go older, you're not going to need that much more sleep. But now the studies have shown that between 7 and 9 hours is the ideal. Anything less than 5, they've actually done studies that your mortality rate can increase by 15%. So it's super important that you don't continually, consistently get less sleep than that.
Mm, yeah, I know quite a few people brag about having 4 hours sleep, 5 hours sleep. And I think society might think that, oh, look at them, they're working really hard, making the most of life, you know. But
Right. No, it's and that's why I started the workshop because and my goal was to teach university students and young people, even for them, it's even more critical
yeah,
because they were taught to stay up all night, do all-nighters, and they thought that would help them study.
yeah,
Well, it actually makes it worse
it does.
because they can't retain the things that they learned at 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
So you're actually hurting yourself, and then you wake up nauseated, feeling like you said, flushed, like you're out of it,
yeah,
dozing off, very ill. It
yeah.
really upsets your whole body.
And
Night shift workers, that's
oh, yeah,
a whole different game because those people have to reorganize all their circadian rhythms.
yeah,
So it's a very difficult with pilots, airline stewardesses, or if you
yeah,
have
that way.
flight attendants, I apologize, flight attendants and surgeons, people that are in the medical profession, or people that are up all night and have jobs that in the hospital you can't really go home. There's a 24-hour clock in the ER. So there are professions that suffer from this. So we try to work with them in learning, kind of relearning and going back how to get a better night's sleep. But the key is aim to get 7 to 9 hours. That's the key.
Mhm. That's the key. Yeah. So your final tip was your final tip is
To limit your news, I don't want people looking at the news more than 20 minutes a day. There's so much tragedy with racial injustice, the pandemic, the new vaccine, financial burdens, not, being unemployed. There's so much negativity that to me, if you can eliminate that amount of time to look at the bad, negative, all of those things affect your mind. And as you sleep, that can cause you more anxiety, which therefore, again, you're going to be up at 2 in the morning with your brain circling through and not being able to shut that off. So if you can limit 20 minutes a day, another tip would help you is meditation. I do guided imagery, which is wonderful through my show that I started doing. And guided imagery is a wonderful way to relax. Also, white noise. That's another beautiful thing you can have. It's not very expensive, and you can set that up by your bedside to actually mimic a waterfall or rain, or some people like the forest, the crickets going at night. I
yeah,
know it reminds me of my camping days as a child. So nice linking, nice memories. But limit negativity, not just the news, but limit the amount of stimuli. And if you can do the negativity, the news to 20 minutes a day, I think that's really going to be helpful for your mind. So,
that is actually a good tip because I know for me I just completely cut off TV from my life. I was like, no, thank you. You're telling me all negative stuff. I don't need it in my life. So TV, I don't watch it.
We
So
can watch you, Gospel. We'll just watch you.
yeah, you just watch me. Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
And I'll be watching you too as you do
There we go.
your
This way we learn things and refresh our mind, right?
true. So
Yeah.
even so would you recommend someone watch like a movie before going to bed?
Very good question. The movie length could be an hour, 2 hours if you're watching it. It depends when you start the movie. Like we talked about, before midnight, that's the goal, remember. So pretty much you can do whatever you'd like, but if my recommendation is an hour before sleep, you unwind, which would mean Netflix off, and I'm guilty of that. I get caught up in these shows and things and documentaries and whatever and beautiful photos, and you can go on, but you have to link that time to shut off with all electronics. Blue lighting actually makes your um, brain think that it is time to get up, so you want to shut that down so the melatonin can start going in the pineal gland in the brain. So
Yeah,
it's important. Yeah.
yeah, cool. Those were awesome tips. So to
Thank you.
to recap to people that are watching, just a quick recap that I'll do is what we learned so far is that with the way sleep affects us, it can affect us physically and mentally. That is it. So sleep can affect us physically and mentally. And Christina just shared with us what 3 steps that we can start to do right now to help us to get a better night's sleep or to sleep well. So the first tip was timing. The time that we should go to bed should not be after 12 midnight. The world will still be rotating. You're not going to miss anything. You just go and sleep and come back. Because the thing is, I've heard people say, I don't want to go to bed because I'm going to miss something. And I think to myself, that something is still going to be there. The world recycles itself, anyway, in my opinion. And then the second one was that we should aim to get at least 7 to 9 hours sleep. That is good sleep. Aim to get some, at least resting in your bed, resting for at least 7 to 9 hours. Those of you that are bragging about sleeping 4 hours and you're functioning well, good for you. But ideally, aim for having 7 hours, 7 hours sleep. And the final tip was limit limit the amount of negativity that is going into your ears. If you're hearing a lot of negative stuff, at least if you're going to be watching the news, just watch 20 minutes of it and end it, right? Especially if it's a negative news that you're hearing. Most of the time, I'm sure it's negative. 20 minutes and end it. So, those were the 3 key steps that we need to take to help us get a better night's sleep moving forward. So, my next question, Christina, is why do we need a good night's sleep? I know you hinted on this already, but you want to go a lot deeper with us?
Yeah, we can talk about the most important thing to remember. Sleep is a pillar of health. It's a pillar of human health. And we talked about how people view sleep as a luxury. Don't do that. Sleep is not a luxury. Sleep, I want you to remember, put it as your priority in your life. That I want you to remember from anything that I've said. Put sleep as your priority in your life. Sleep is so important. Now it is linked to diabetes, to cardiovascular disease, obesity, stroke, hormone related cancers, Alzheimer's, and dementia. So, those things, medical diseases that we can hopefully prevent from happening, is if we can regenerate our mind
Yeah.
and our heart and our blood vessels. Accidents. How many times have we fallen asleep at the wheel only to wake up and shiver and think, wow, I could have run off the road?
Yeah.
Those are all issues too, why I brought this to light, because accidents can be prevented. There's so many unnecessary sleep related accidents. The Exxon the oil spill. And I remember that very well when also pilots or airlines, they have done a very good job as to making sure that their pilots get enough sleep because they can't fly so many days. They have to take a break.
Mm.
Otherwise, you're operating machinery. I mean, you're operating, you have 200 lives on board.
Yeah.
Uh, I know my brother's a captain, he's a pilot. So he is very, very good about getting his sleep because he is so keen on making sure that flight is safe.
Mm.
So those are some important aspects why we need sleep. Again, less than 5 hours of sleep, you're increasing your mortality 15%. So they've done 3 separate studies that have shown this. It's a problem. We have to tackle this. We need to make sleep a priority. And that's my message to you. It also provides cells and tissues. It recovers, it rejuvenates, so your skin looks better. You have more supple skin, and you feel better. The wear and tear of daily life, tissue repair, muscle growth, protein synthesis, all of that occurs during sleep.
Yeah.
So, better sleep, good health, good life. Those are my 3 top topics that I can tell you that they're all linked together. And I always tell everyone sleep is as important as diet and exercise, but
Yeah.
it's easier. It's easier.
It is and cheap.
And you can achieve so much.
Yeah.
You can conquer the world with a good amount of sleep. Your creativity juice is flowing.
Yes.
Imagine how you get stimulated, because I know as a morning person, I'm very good in the morning. I can remember, and when I walk and I exercise, I think of things I want to do. I want to start inventing things, doing things, new ideas pop in my mind.
Yeah.
And that's so much healthier than trying to pop pills at night to sleep.
I know, right?
So you're affecting your liver, your kidneys. There's so much negativity. And there's a time and place for that. There are time and place for sleeping pills. Of course, if you're going through trauma or a loved one has died, there are things that you can do also. But my goal is for everyday life and everyday people to increase their healthy life and their longevity by
Mm.
doing these tips. So that's why it's important. It's a pillar of human health.
So, you said there are some other tips. So, sleep hygiene. Can you?
Yes,
What?
yes, I'm going to go through those. In today's climate, there's so much stress and anxiety that we have to go through. So if you can continually keep a consistent sleep schedule, which would mean going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time, even on the weekends. I think that really was going to help. So you set a bedtime for you to get at least 7 hours of sleep, okay? But it has to be before midnight.
Yeah.
So even if it's 11:30, that's okay. You want to unwind about an hour before you go to bed, which would mean shut off your electronics, your television. You really shouldn't sleep and read and I'm sorry, watch TV in bed.
No.
That's not a good thing to do. If you are laying there after 20 minutes and you can't sleep, you're supposed to get up, go to a room, and start reading with a dim light,
Yeah.
and only go back to that room when you're nodding off. So you signify your bed with sleep.
Yeah.
Don't read in bed because then your mind thinks, "Oh, I can read. I can be up."
Yeah.
So once you start doing those things after about 2 weeks, you won't even need an alarm clock. It'll be so easy for you.
Yeah.
And make your bedroom quiet. You want it quiet and relaxing. It's your sanctuary. That's where you go to rest.
Yeah.
So keep it in a comfortable, cool temperature. There's studies that have said 67 degrees, 70 degrees. Some people like it cooler. Limit exposure to bright light. You want to make sure everything is dark. There's no night light because the pineal gland will sense that.
Yeah.
So good quality sleep, and I've tried it myself. I've actually used a nightlight, and I didn't feel like I got the right amount of good sleep. So you want to turn off your electronic devices, limit exposure to bright light in the evening, and you don't want to eat a very heavy meal at night. You want to make sure that you're eating dinner at least 3 to 4 hours before you go to sleep. And exercise regularly, but you don't want to exercise too close to sleep, 3 or 4 hours. And caffeine, you'd want to cut your caffeine off at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
That's super important
That
because caffeine or alcohol before bedtime is going to really wreak havoc with your brain.
it is.
And reduce your fluid intake before bedtime. You don't want to get up to the bathroom. Hopefully, you won't have to do that, but
Well,
those are some good tips. You limit exposure to bright light in the evenings. If you have your studio or your office in your bedroom, then shut that down an hour before. Get into a sleep routine. Have some nice tea, get some lavender,
yeah.
scents going in the bedroom. You can have, the quiet white noise going. Listen to classical music. I love that too.
Mm,
That unwinds an hour before. It's just a beautiful, peaceful way to fall asleep.
yeah. Yeah. That
I hope that helps.
that is really helpful. And it's interesting, the one about the caffeine. Try telling those that to people that love their coffee. They'll be looking at you like you're the enemy. When I say, you know what? Because when I'm giving pharmaceutical advice to them, say, have you thought about not drinking coffee at 5 o'clock? Do you think that
Correct.
might help? They'll be like, 5 o'clock, gospel. No, that's when I even start. They start telling me, no, I stopped drinking my coffee about 8 o'clock. I said, no. And then when do you go to bed? 9. I was like, no, you cannot be doing that. You have to, because I think it takes 4 hours for caffeine to break down and get out of the.
Yes, it's a half-life, and I believe there's 6 to 8 hours of half-life. So if you have your cup at 3, you're still wired up at 9 or 10 o'clock.
Exactly.
And your brain cannot shut off. And the brain with the synapses have a lot to do with your REM sleep.
Mm,
REM sleep is the dream stage, and that's where your memory's consolidated. That's the most important
is the
type of sleep you need. You need REM and non-REM,
yeah,
but the REM is the most important. So caffeine is a big, big issue for a lot of folks. And I know people love it in the afternoons and the evenings, but if you can cut it down to maybe some kind of low caffeine or have a no caffeine tea, caffeine free, that might work if you want a hot beverage.
Yeah.
But changing the beverages will really help you sleep and get that
It,
bright feeling in the morning.
it,
Because sometimes you wake up and you feel so sluggish,
yeah.
and you've laid in bed for 8 or 9 hours. You think, but I slept 8 hours.
But
Well, you didn't get the good sleep.
no, you didn't get the full RAM
Exactly.
in the
Yes.
whole sleep circle
Cycles.
thing.
Mhm.
So that is why even with alcohol, because alcohol dehydrates you,
Correct.
and so the whole in the brain, it's not your because the brain needs to be hydrated, isn't it?
Correct.
So now with you taking alcohol and then that has now drained, dehydrated some of your brains that you get to be feeling, I don't know what the word, I've never had alcohol before, so I don't know how they feel, but
I think a lot of it has to do with the synapses because it will make your brain wake back up at 2 a.m. So it fragments the neurotransmitters, and the alcohol has a lot to do with the brain waves.
mm,
So not only dehydration, but your synapses. And when they snap, you're waking up at 2 a.m. So it disrupts your 90-minute cycles. You have to go through 5 cycles.
yes,
So it's super important. Alcohol will actually make you have more nightmares, more anxiety because of the synapse.
yes, that is so true. So Patsy is joining us. Thank you so much, Patsy, for joining.
Ah,
Hi. We are talking about sleep, and we've been going through some golden nuggets. So, do you have a question for Christina here? Type it in the comment section below and we'll ask her. We are currently going through the sleep hygiene, and Christina has been sharing with us how we can have a better night's sleep, with the things that we need to do before we go to bed, so that we can have that good deep RAM sleep in the sleep circle. So one other thing, apart from the caffeine and then the alcohol, the food one is a big one, because I'm always perplexed when I hear people say they wake up during the night and they eat. I don't.
yes, that's it has to do with ghrelin and phenylalanine. It's hormones. And when you are sleep deprived, you're creating more society, and you're doing more harm because you're craving carbs and things that are bad for you. So they've seen that a lot of night shift workers have gained a lot of weight because they're eating late in the evening and they're not burning that off. I think it has a lot to do with limiting the the amount of food, but also avoiding spicy foods and very rich foods because that takes or a heavy meal because
Yeah,
that takes time to digest,
yeah,
and that laying down is not very healthy. So I think with limiting the looking at the type of meat and chicken or fish or whatever, if you're vegetarian, maybe look at the time that you're eating because that could mean that your body's not breaking the proteins down.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
Patty wrote, cell phone addiction contributes to disturbing the. Yeah, I think social media in general,
yeah,
that's a big issue. It's addiction to what's happening. Like you have to tune in every 24/7,
yeah.
that you have to know what's happening. And there comes a time, gospel, like you said, you have to shut that off.
Mm-hmm.
It will be there. You can do the replay or you can catch up with someone later.
Mm.
But your mind has to shut off because if you continue the cycle, your body will get so deprived that you can actually get sick and have a stroke, or you can get ill and have cardiac issues or diabetes. So
And
it's a big problem. Yeah.
it is a problem. And one thing that I try to get people to do is they should put their phone upside down. If they
Correct.
just have their phone next to them when they are sleeping, put it upside down, because you know
Correct.
when the messages come up, it bings, then the lights comes, and you might think
Correct.
you're closing your eyes so you cannot see, but your cells can see it. Your skin cells can feel the light, and I know for me anyway. And then especially when I forget to turn my thing, my phone upside down, and then I wake up because I'm a very light sleeper, and then I wake up. So
Yes. The phone itself, the emissions, but the actual lighting. We talked about blue lighting.
yeah,
They've done the airlines have now done blue lighting coming up gradually on overseas flights, so that it eases people when they wake up from the overseas flight.
mm,
So it's super important. And Patty mentioned the cortisol level spiking. So that can also have a lot to do with your appetite, but I know that if you're sleep deprived, you are really messing up your hormones of uh, wanting to eat, being actually hungry, and just thinking about that food where you're really not hungry, but you're thinking that you are hungry. So all of those hormones are affected when you are sleep deprived.
yeah,
So there's been a lot of link to waking up at 2 in the morning and going to the refrigerator thinking if you eat, you'll sleep better, but it's not
it's not
healthy.
it's not true. And this is why it's good to understand food and how food digests. So I teach my students that, for example, carbohydrates, some carbohydrates, they take an hour to digest. So if you eat maybe rice at 6 p.m., don't think you for you to go and start going to bed at 6:30. No, it's still anyway. You should go to bed from at least 7 o'clock. You can go to bed if your bedtime is 9 o'clock. That is good, but don't go and start eating something else again, especially if it is something that takes longer to digest. Wouldn't you?
Correct. Yes, and they've actually said that if you're going to bed, like you say, 11, then maybe 6 o'clock would be good because you're giving your body 3 to 4 hours of the enzymes to secrete
Yeah.
and actually break down the gut and the food. But if you're eating a very heavy meal, I know some cultures eat at 11 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
That's their heavy meal. There's some cultures around the world that do that, and that can really take a toll on your sleep
Mm,
pattern, also your gut. They've done a research study now that links gut microbiome to sleep deprivation. So, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, all of those issues with your gut, they are linked now to sleep deprivation. So, it just, I think the stomach and the gut and food, that can be a whole different show with sleep deprivation. There's
yeah,
so much out there right now that they're learning. And
yeah,
you want to take away is that your bedroom is your sanctuary.
yeah,
You shut everything off. Phone should be face down, away. Also, if you can do at least shutting the lighting, I think lighting has a lot to do with it and feeling comfortable there. Cool temperatures, lighting, all of that has to do with the senses and getting prepared for sleep too.
mm, mm. I know.
Patty, you don't need an alarm clock. You don't need an alarm clock. That's what I'm trying to. What I'm trying to do is try to do circadian rhythm, so you don't need an alarm clock.
Yeah,
2 weeks, if you do my tips, I guarantee that's going to happen
I've
for sure.
I've not used an alarm clock since I was 19 years old, and that was when I started being strict with my sleep. So that has been
Mhm.
what, 20 years now? Because when you have a rhythm, like you said, Christina, you don't need an alarm clock. Your body wakes up.
Circadian.
Yeah,
Right.
wakes up
Yes.
at the right time that it needs you to
Yes.
wake up. Um,
Yes.
so some people are surprised about when the time I wake up, and that's the same time I've woken up since I was 19 years old. So
Yes. And not just your bedroom sanctuary, but also like Patty was mentioning about having good support, good mattress, good pillows. Those are, of course, those are important. But the most important thing is to make sleep a priority.
yeah,
That is the most important tip that I can tell you because people think it's a luxury. And I see a lot of the big business people, pilots, surgeons, people that keep going and going. They think it's a status or a big power approval status that you're being such a great guy or a woman that you can continue to keep going all night long. And I only slept for an hour or two. Well, you're endangering yourself, but also, God forbid, you have to drive or you're, losing sleep to the point where you're going to collapse. So sleep is not a luxury. It is a priority.
it is.
So that is the big takeaway message that I want people to know. I think it's super important.
It is.
Um, yes, mattress, Patty talks about a mattress, but not only is your mattress important, it's also the fact that you can, change those mattresses after a while. They don't give you that support. So some people like soft mattresses, heavy, they're very firm. It just depends on your bone type, your back, what, body type you are. There's so many factors. The most important thing to remember is to, actually have a good quality mattress because that will affect everything,
Yeah,
all of your sleep.
it
Yeah.
is. Because yeah, the mattress one is a big deal with that one. So I'm not
Mhm.
going to mention any mattress company because this is
No, I know.
they're not sponsoring me. It's BeLive.tv that is sponsoring this show. I forgot to put the logo. Ooh la la.
Yeah.
Let me find the logo. But yeah, that is that is very key. What we sleep on. One other thing that I was gonna ask was your pillow. I know I've had this debate with people where they say, should I sleep with pillow or should I not sleep with pillow? Does that affect my sleep or not? What's your
So you
thoughts on that?
you want to make sure your neck muscles and your head is very heavy. So you want to make sure you're getting enough comfort and support for your neck, your cervical neck muscles,
Yeah.
because that all has to do with all of these muscles right here. And as a massage therapist, I know that if you have neck pain, it reaches around the front and it feels like a vice grip,
Mm,
and that's a tension headache. So a lot of people get chronic tension headaches from not sleeping well and not using the correct amount of, posture type of a nice pillow that can support your neck and head muscles.
mm,
So it's super important when you are sleeping to have some kind of support, not only for your throat and when you're breathing at night, but also for your head. And that's super important too. Is some people prefer not to sleep with pillows, but I don't think that's a very good idea. I think you need to have some elevation because you need to have that continuation of breathing well, having the airway open. And if you're lying flat, that will not support your neck.
right.
So it could be a problem with neck muscles there. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Patty, we did talk about this one, how it's key for airline
Yes.
people. Because Chris,
And another tip, gospel, you take the pillow. I always tell people to put it in between your knees, and that takes the pressure off your lower spine.
Right.
That will be a really good tip if you're a side sleeper. That takes the pressure off your lower spine so you sleep better.
Mm,
And the positioning of hands, some people sleep, they say their hands are numb. Try to get more comfortable in the way that you like to sleep, but you can prop pillows up, and that really helps a lot. Pillows do help a lot.
yeah. I for me, I don't sleep with pillows, but one thing that I do is I do put it in between my knees, and also I elevate my feet because I tend to have edemas a lot. So I'll elevate my feet.
Another good tip is there's 20,000 nerve endings on the bottom of your feet. So if you can put your feet in some warm water and some Epsom soak, that will help you sleep better. I have done that.
Mm,
So if you soak your feet 20 minutes before, that relaxes all those nerve endings. And your feet, if they're relaxed, your whole body will be relaxed. That's why some people take a bath or
yeah,
they do a hot bath. The temperature of the hot shower
yeah,
is very good because you want to lower your temperature when you come out,
yeah.
and then you'll sleep like a baby.
Eh,
So a lot of cultures also go in the snow and then the sauna and then the snow because it kind of vasodilates the skin,
mm,
but that has a whole different um, aspect
mm,
of your sleep habits too. And of course, lavender aromatherapy is very, very interesting. I'm learning more and more about essential oils, and lavender is probably one of the top. Eucalyptus also, beautiful. It can really help the senses. Anything with the mind, the breath, the surroundings, the music, all of that will contribute to a beautiful.
mm,
Keep your bedroom as a sanctuary. That's what you want to do.
yeah. I have this diffuser where it
Yes.
brings
Yes.
smells. So
I love it.
that
Yeah.
to help me out. Yeah, lavender is a very good one. Um,
Beautiful.
let's see. Yeah, very, very good one. Cool. That has been awesome.
Thank you.
Really awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, Christina.
Thank you. I had fun.
We've learned a lot. And yeah, oh, tread count of the bed. Egyptian cotton.
Great.
Oh, Egyptian cotton.
Hmm.
What can I say? So what tread count? Should we start going into all those?
No, we should do that in another show. I'll do my aromatherapy session.
Should do that
And
in
we'll do the dream. We'll talk about interpretation of dreams, and then we can do that.
okay, so you heard it here, Christina. You're gonna come back, right?
Absolutely. If you have me, Joshua, I'd love to. I had a ball. It was
Oh,
fun.
I am glad. So, people, thank you so much for joining. You have been listening to Christina. She's been talking and educating us about sleep, how to sleep well in these times that we are in, the pandemic times. So, she went through the three key steps that we need to take, which was timing. We should go to bed at the right time, i.e., not after 12 midnight. And then the second one was the amount of sleep that we get. Ideally, 7 to 9 hours sleep we should aim for. And then the third was that we should avoid listening to negativity on the news. And if we are going to do that, at least spend 20 minutes and then shut it off and go to bed. And we've just gone through different sleep hygiene techniques that you can use to help you get a good night's sleep. You want that good, deep RAM sleep. Okay. So, hasn't this been awesome? I know I've learned a lot.
Thank you.
So much for joining us. Thank you so much, Patsy for joining us today, watching us live. This was Christina's first interview, so
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
she did so
Thank you for
well.
having me.
Um, so tell us, Christina, how can people find you?
So my website is sleepforthesoul.com. I have a Facebook business page that is also linked to Sleep for the Soul. And at this point, I will try to start having my live shows on Saturdays, early evenings every week. So, and if you go on my Sleep for the Soul Facebook page, it'll be listed there with announcements. So, there's things in the works that I'm working on right now that hopefully are going to be wonderful. Retreat maybe next year, and we're thinking about that. So stay tuned, and you can find me there. And I appreciate Gospel having me. It was a pleasure. We had so much fun.
Yes, we did. So, if you want the show notes, I've put the link in the description. You grab the show notes at GOE Enterprise gives slash show notes. GOE Enterprise dot gives slash show notes. And you'll be able to get the show notes. And that will also include all the details how to get in touch with Christina. If you
Thank
have
you.
questions, comments, please leave them down in the comment section below. And remember, if you're watching live, type in hashtag live. If this is your first time of watching us, watching this show, which is the math show, I always forget to say it. The math show is we talk about money, we talk about some academic stuff, tech, my favorite, and health, your physical health and your mental health, helping you to able to have a good life, help you to grow your finances and have positive mental health. That's what we're all about. So today I've had the lovely guest, Christina. Until
Thank you.
next time, people, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you would like to say, Christina?
Thank you so much, Gospel. I just want people to make sleep a priority. And I believe in healthy sleep is healthy life and a healthy person. So it's super important. But thank you for having me again.
Well, you're most welcome. And I am so glad that you joined us today. So, thank you everybody for joining us. And thank you for watching the replay. Until next time, I am wishing you ongoing success. Bye. Okay.